Yo, one Marvel opinion I will never be able to stand by is those motherfuckers that say Far From Home was an overrated film. Like, sure, it may not be the best out of Tom's movies. In fact, I'd rank it in last place, but it's still a good fucking movie. Like, it's the whole reason No Way Home was, like, a thing. And I know you're gonna say, like, oh, well, don't compare it to why this movie was a thing. Compare it to why, the actual movie was good. And I'll admit, the actual movie itself was good. I liked it. When it first came out, like, I was a greedy little bitch during my middle school year, and I was like, nobody can watch these things except for me. I don't know why I was like that. I was just a greedy little bitch. But anyways, like I was saying, the whole story centers around, like, Peter going on a vacation, and he has to do Spider-Man stuff while he's on that vacation. And one thing people don't really get behind was the stealth costume. Now, I'm going to say something, and a lot of you may not agree with it, or you may agree with it. Actually, I'm going to say two things. Some of you may agree, some of you may disagree. The first thing is that I think the stealth costume looks great. Like, with what they had to go with, the stealth costume looks great. I don't get the people that say the stealth costume looks stupid and overrated. Respectfully, kiss my ass. Now, sure, compared to all of Spider-Man's other costumes, it may look like a fucking dumpster fire, but honestly, I mean, his suits in No Way Home were good, but it's just like, always a variation. I do love the classic suit, though. Another opinion of mine, this has everything to do with Spider-Man, but I feel like the people that post those edits of Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland, where they have the symbiote Spider-Man, when they have the symbiote suit, I feel like those are just fake Marvel fans. Those are fake Spider-Man fans right there. That is how you know you're dealing with a fake Spider-Man fan. Because all they do is post, like, what if Andrew Garfield or Tom Holland had the symbiote suit? Like, look, they may not be fake Spider-Man fans, but I consider that not being a real Spider-Man fan. Like, the reason I say it is because the symbiote suit is so over-fucking used. It is so overused at this point. I mean, you could pretty much just consider it like the normal storyline because of how much it's in these goddamn things. Like, we have Web of Shadows, Spider-Man 3, fucking Shattered Dimensions. Then we have Spider-Man 2. It's in the Amazing Spider-Man game, and it's even in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 game. Like, every game needs the black suit, except for the Spider-Man PS4 game. Spider-Man 2 has a black suit storyline, and it's like, when are we gonna have enough of fucking Venom? Like, we don't need it anymore. Now, I really liked Spider-Man 2 as a game. I feel like it tackled the symbiote pretty well. But anyways, that's not what we're trying to talk about today. But people that say Far From Home was just a bad movie or it was overrated, you're kind of wrong in that department. Again, I do think it's not, I'd rank it at third in all of Tom Holland's Spider-Man movies, but it's not a bad movie. I feel like it handles the villains well. It handles storyline pretty well. Like, a bunch of people forget that, like, Mysterio was in there. I don't think they forget that he was in there, but a lot of people forget that it had a really good storyline. Like, Peter's going to Europe for a vacation, and then, they need Spider-Man's help, but he has to wear a disguise, first of all, which, when he was saving everyone from the water monster, or whatever, the elemental, I don't know how nobody literally didn't know it was him, like, right off the bat, because he just wore, like, a friggin' mask, and, like, nothing else. Don't know how people didn't know that, but, like, still whatever. But I don't like to nitpick about, plot holes or whatever. Those motherfuckers piss me off too, but that deserves its own video. Anyways, after he saves him, Nick Fury calls him, who was actually an alien, which, confused me a little bit, but anyway. He meets Quentin Beck, aka Mysterio, and then it turns out he was an ex-Stark employee, and, then he tricks him with, like, his backstory and whatnot, and, look, I think that's a pretty good way. That's like, a pretty good, like, movie, Like, I think it's a pretty good way to introduce a villain, But then later come to figure out that they were, like, a Stark employee that was pretty much just got bullied or whatever. Which, that dude that's, like, we see later on in the movie from the movie Iron Man, that one dude that's the one dude that the one like Stark employer, he wasn't a Stark employee, he was actually against Tony Stark, but the one scene where that dude was like, Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps. Anyways, the dude he yelled at is one of the villains of this story. I feel like he had no reason to be a villain other than he got yelled at. But, you know, whatever. I mean, the dudes were also going up against Tony Stark in that movie or whatever. So, you know, who cares? And then it picks up where, Peter gets his new suit. The weird Russian lady, or I may be wrong about that one, but asks him to change right in front of her, which, maybe you should, like, look away or get out of the room. I mean, shit, I don't know. She's kind of creepy. But then anyways, it's revealed later on that Mysterio was using, like, a projector, and him and MJ, like, figured that out. And look, I think that was a pretty cool way to figure it out. Like, I'm not, like, meat riding this. I'm not glazing over this movie. But, I mean, like, I'm not trying to glaze this entire movie. But, like, I kind of am when you think about it. I'm not saying it's, like, an absolute cinema. But then, like, I'm not saying it's the next coming of Christ. But, like, it was still a good movie. And then, like, it's revealed Mysterio wants to, like, wipe out half of Europe. Which, like, look, No Way Home picks up where, No Way Home basically just picks up where How Far From Home ended, with Mysterio with his, like, trickful video that he's gonna trick everybody with, and whatever, And then it's revealed that Spider-Man's identity is Peter Parker, and then, like, Quentin Beck is just like, Spider-Man, and I don't think I'm gonna make it off this bridge alive, which I think that's a pretty cool way for a movie to end. I don't give a shit. That's a cool way for a movie to end. Like, I liked the whole movie, and if you didn't, respectfully fuck off. And if you're one of those people that's gonna say, well, Far From Home is overrated, and I don't like it, suck my dick. How about that? Far From Home was a good movie, and I don't care what anybody says. Now, look, I do want to point out one plot hole, though. It's not really a plot hole, but it's more of like a nitpick I have with this. I feel like even if Peter would have killed Mysterio, I feel like it wouldn't have even been that big of a deal. No, I'm not one of those, like, average, like, oh, Batman should kill the Joker, which, he should, but I'm not saying, like, we need to make superheroes murderers. But I'm saying, like, even if he would have killed Mysterio, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal, because he was going to use his technology to wipe out half of Europe. Like, that's, like, some Adolf Hitler shit right there. Except Hitler wanted to kill all of them, except half of them. So, I mean, even in, like, Spider-Man 2002, if he would have killed Green Goblin, wouldn't have been that big of a deal, because, Green Goblin tried to kill literal children, and he also tried to kill a teenager. Like, he had to go either way. But I like the way the movie ended, and I was confused in, like, because I didn't watch the credits scenes of Far From Home, and then Far From Home, it was like, Nick Fury has been off planet for the last year. I was like, wait, what? I didn't know that. And then I watched the credits scene of Far From Home, and I was like, okay, it was an alien. It was a shape-shifting alien. Which, I don't even know why they couldn't have just helped Peter out in that situation. But whatever. Like, out of all of Tom Holland's villains, I'd say Mysterio has to be one of, like, the coldest of them. Like, he goes on the list of, like, some of the most insane villains he's fought. Now, I know there was Electro and all of them, but, like, okay, they wanted to kill, all the other villains wanted to kill Spider-Man and all that other stuff. But Mysterio wanted to wipe out half of Europe. Okay, you cannot tell me that that's not some evil shit right there. I mean, that's like some Homelander shit right there. When Starlight was like, I'm gonna release the Flight 37 video, and he's like, go ahead. I'll wipe out I'll wipe out fucking New York. But like I'm saying, like, Mysterio has to be one of the sickest villains Tom's ever fought. Now, I know it was Green Goblin, but what the fuck ever. And it was just 5 seconds left, so like and follow, please. for part 2.